Hi, this is Sue Greenwald with the Empowered Light Holistic Expo. Our next expo is September 6th through 8th at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philadelphia. I'm here with Annabella Wood, who's going to be speaking on Sunday at 4 p.m. Hey, Annabella, how are you?
I'm great. Hi. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you. Now, your talk title is Unified Physics, Consciousness as Vibration, which of course is very intriguing and mysterious. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about?
Sure. I was brought up in a very, shall we say, spiritual household with my parents were Quaker, and my dad could do energy healings before they had the name Reiki and things like that. And he was also had his master's in physics, and he was a science teacher. So I grew up and with his tutelage fully believed that both of these could happen at the same time, though I didn't really see where the science met with the energy healing and hypnosis and things like that, the power of the mind. And so as I left home, I realized that it was really unusual to find someone who embodied both of those in one lifetime. And I just knew that they were together. Somehow the science had to explain the psychic. And like he did distant healings and all of that. It was much more than just hands-on. And he could do readings and, the full gamut. So I went out on a search, and I've spent most of my life trying to figure out how these two complement each other, because they've been sort of mutually exclusive up until very recently. And quite recently, it came in unified physics. And that's why it's called unified, because it brings all of these different belief systems, everything from Byron Katie, Course in Miracles, Eckhart Tolle, and hardcore physics, comes right straight up with sacred geometry, vibration and frequency and psychic phenomenon. And they complement each other, and they weave into this beautiful fabric that includes ancient technologies and the pyramids and ETs and space travel, space-time, and infinite energy machines which actually pull energy forever with no fuel and no exhaust. And we're right next to having that right now. And so these are the things that I'm talking about, and we've got one description of all of it in one place, and to make sense out of that. It's a big job to do that in 40 minutes, but
Explain the universe in 40 minutes.
You gotta have some good slides.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But it sounds like you had a very good, very open upbringing. So your dad, embraced that, and it seemed normal to you, and it allowed you to have a more open, approach to it as you went through life than many of us have the traditional, what you're taught in school, what you're taught through religion or whatever. And, it's this way, don't question it. The scientists are right. The studies show this, don't question it. So it sounds like you were lucky enough to have an open upbringing where you were able to question things and just notice things a little bit more.
Yeah, I was always asking questions, and he would always do his best to answer them. And but one of the things that he loved to reveal were the mysteries of the universe, which are the places that science couldn't explain how something worked, right? That's by definition the mystery. And so I sort of was a specialist in the mysteries because I knew the answers lay there. And once we understood the mysteries, it would all come together. And someone else, I didn't discover this idea. I didn't formulate it or download it or any of that. I found a guy who has. His name's Nassim Haramein, and his different theory actually redescribes the makeup of the atom. That's the hard science part. And once we redefine how an atom is an atom, there's room for everything in this universe, and we are all interconnected. We really are beings of light. I mean, I'm also a minister. That was part of the search, right? So, interfaith minister. And the old isms actually could happen. Um, and we've simply lost our ability to do that. And it's expos like yours that give us room to explore our possibility once again. And that's one reason that I like being in your expo, because we can really explore it from so many different angles and dynamics. And all of the speakers, we're all speaking on the same subject.
We are, although we have our focus or our perspective, but what I feel like there's so much coming out now. You know, we hear a lot of the negative out in the news, and I know there's a lot more that will be coming out, but people don't know that there's this other world beside the material world. Like, we're taught that, you know, we're solid, atoms behave a certain way, you know, gravity works this way, you know, whatever. We just take it all for granted, but there's so much more beyond that that we haven't explored. What I always tell people is that intention is the highest power. So we can literally do anything with our intention. You don't need to be physically present. You don't need to touch someone. You don't need this or that. It is a strong intention with belief that will change something that you want changed, or heal something, or whatever it might be. We just don't have that background of belief or knowledge yet as a population, you know.
Right. And I think we're at a tipping point right now here on Earth, and it's time to wake up or get out. And, you know, the Earth is letting us know that it won't be this way much longer. It's time to behave differently and really pay attention. We haven't paid attention in so long, and it's like waking a sleeping babe. They don't really want to get up, but if you don't wake up, there's no need to be here in the first place. So
right. Well, I really think that right now what we're going through is the consciousness. Of course, we're going through that time of awakening. Consciousness is raising. Hopeful. It maybe not as fast as I would like it, but it is raising. People are becoming much more open and aware than they were before. There's more interest, there's more conversations. Now, even if you're looking at social media, you'll see more on, you know, UFO sightings or energy miracles that are happening, energy, whatever it might be. There's a little bit more out there all the time. So it's like it's trickling down, and we're slowly being acclimated to, you know, this disclosure that's happening. And we know there's so much more beyond what our scientists have been telling us. You know, there's more.
Put it that way, because I don't think they don't know. I think that there are two versions to science, and there's the one that works, which our government has known for eons, and there's the one that they tell everybody else so that we remain dominion. You know, they dominate us because of our lack of knowledge. And so their hold on us is very, very tenuous. And it's not going to take too long, and we'll be able to stand on our own 2 feet. So we can actually, I get into long discussions about about current politics and where that plays in the big picture. We're shifting ages of the zodiac. We're going from the Piscean age, which is very much law and order, to the Aquarian, and the Aquarian is not law and order. It isn't. It's honoring each other. It's moving in union with the whole and holding up your part of the whole. It's an entirely different framework. And so what appears to be devastation and destruction could actually be the birthing of the new age. And it's important work. So,
right. Yes, we've all been programmed from day one. We've been, you know, what would you call it? Our society has programmed us. So peer pressure. So we've gone through school, we're given a certain amount, you know, the certain rules that we have to follow, the certain beliefs, the certain history, science, whatever it might be. None of that's correct. And we don't know, we're you know, we're innocent kids. We grew up believing certain facts and things, but now that I know what I know, it's like outrageous. We've swallowed that up hook, line, and sinker because we were innocent. We did not know better. History is wrong. Science is wrong. Politics is, everything is corrupt. And I think that's what's happening now. And we could go off on a tangent here.
No, we don't need to, though. I just, my point is that I think we're right on target. I think that our trajectory is perfect.
Yeah.
And we do have, as you mentioned earlier in our conversation, we have the choice of which thoughts we're going to put our focus on and which ones we're going to work with.
Right.
I find teachers like Byron Katie and Eckhart Tolle are very helpful in our learning how to disattach from the ones that don't serve us and attach to the ones that do. And
Right.
in doing so, we choose our future and our present world.
Right.
So,
I was doing whatever, writing or doing my thing a few years ago, and I have these thoughts. And so what I usually do is write them on a scrap paper. Oh, I'll remember that clearly later, which I never do. I've got little papers with sayings on them all over the house, but the saying was something like this: we are God, Goddess, creator of all that is. So we create our reality, our universe, is what I wrote down. But if we have the dark whispering in our ear, they influence our creations. So that's what's been happening. So now it is time to take back our thoughts and create what we want, not what we've been creating. So the positive, we want the positive. So that's why we're here now doing what we're doing.
yeah, and what is that? There's the pathway of the, it's not Great Warrior, but something. Every movie has this pathway that people take. 1 second. Where we have challenges, right? I mean, you wouldn't go to a movie if the main character didn't face a challenge. You just wouldn't. You wouldn't read the book if there wasn't something that had to be overcome. And that's life itself. So giving everything its due and really taking into account the fact that the hurdles are necessary. Rumi did a beautiful poem called The Tanner's Acid. And the point was, if you don't pour the acid on the skin, it never hardens and it would grow fallow and simply disappear. So we need to strengthen, and we strengthen ourselves on adversity. We've got lots of that right now. We've got a gym out there, a gymnasium, where we can strengthen ourselves.
Good way to put it. Good way to put it. So it's like strengthening muscles. So like, this is the way I operate. Somebody tells me I can't do something or I'm wrong, and I'll be like, oh, how dare they? And then I prove them wrong, because it's like a competition maybe, but I have to do it my way. I have to learn my way. And usually what happens is, because of that effort, I learn the lesson and I overcome the obstacle and the challenge, and then I learn, like, it's the next thing unfolds for me.
Yes.
But that's the way I learn. Like, sometimes somebody will tell you you can't do something and you'll believe them. But usually it can be used as a little bit of a push off that fence of comfort or complacency.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everything can be a learning experience or a growing experience. Nothing, I really do believe that we're never given more than we can handle. We're given more than we might want to handle, and we may give up and then not handle it. But that's not because we couldn't handle it, it's because we didn't handle it. Right. So it's up to us.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So basically, you're going to be talking about everything that's happening in our world, like not really from the political standpoint or whatever, but you're going to be talking about
We got off on a tangent there.
Yeah, we totally did, and it's my fault because it is one of my favorite topics. But we're going to be talking about how science blends with spirituality and how it's so much broader than we've been taught. And
what I'm going to bring home is the point that coherent movement of any large number of small things creates an entirely different phenomenon. such as water moving down the drain makes a little vortex, right? And we can hear it and see it and feel it and all of this stuff. Whereas if the water is just sitting in the tub, we don't get any of that. So it's an entirely different animal just when the water molecules are moving together. And our consciousness works the same way. When our consciousness is random and we're bouncing off of fear and love and fear and love and going all over the place and not doing anything coherent, particularly not working with other people, it has very little effect on the world and our reality. But when we gather into groups and we intentionally adhere our consciousness together and we become coherent in our thoughts, huge differences occur in the world. And the more of us that come together and become intentional beings, the greater that movement will be.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking about.
That is very exciting. And I always say 2 or more make whatever our intention or our prayer or our energy, it goes exponential. So when you have groups concentrated on hopefully positive change all at the same time, it's very powerful. So it's so exciting.
Yes, last week I was at a retreat in the Redwoods in Santa Cruz with 350 other people that are studying this unified form of physics, and we're allied now with Heart Math and other wonderful institutions. And we did a worldwide coherent consciousness meditation through a Heart Math app on the phone, and it was amazing. And the what people said, you know, how it affected them and things like that were wonderful. And as this becomes more and more known and we understand the power of our consciousness in the real physical world and the importance of numbers and coherence together, then things are going to start turning around pretty rapidly. Because I do believe we all prefer love over hate. We all prefer forward movement over backward movement. We just don't know how to do this yet. And so that's what we're working on now.
So really it's gathering in the meditation groups or doing these loving and helpful things. You will learn, you will get that sense of community, and your energy that's combined with those in the group will be exponentially amplified.
Yeah, drumming circles, if anyone's new to the whole idea, drumming circles are a great place to start because you can just unify around the beat on the drums. And the consciousness takes care of itself at that point. And then you can feel what coherent consciousness feels like with a large group. And then you can start doing it on your own with others. On your own with others is an odd statement, but it's true.
I know what you mean. I love the like the rolling meditations, like many times like the Reiki organizations or whatever will have a rolling meditation around the planet. Let's say it's noon your time, wherever you are in the world, meditate for 10 minutes or on this topic. But I love that idea, and studies have shown how it will, you know, reduce crime rate and all the good things that we're after. So it's very powerful and exciting.
Right. Right. And I live fully in the belief that all of us, regardless of political view, economic stature, anything, we all prefer love over hate.
I agree.
It's in there. It can't be removed. We get confused, and it's time to open up, lift the veil off that confusion.
Right. Right. Well, thank you for what you do. Is there anything else you want to tell anyone that is watching this video?
We're going to have a great time. It's not all science at all. Science is the beginning. That's where we start. And then once the science is straightened out, you can talk about anything from that point forward. Once again, it includes sacred geometry, ancient archaeology, the power that is everywhere, that we're now beginning to make generators that just run on their own like magic. And the scientists go, you can't do that. And it's like, well, sorry, we're doing it, you know? So I hope you come. We're going to have a good time. This is not a science class. So.
Excellent. So if you want to see Annabella's talk, it's Sunday, September 8th at 4 p.m. in the Evolve room at the Philadelphia Expo Center. The talk title is Unified physics, consciousness as vibration, and it is included with your general admission ticket. And then Annabella will be there, and I'm sure she'd be glad to answer questions or enter into discussion after her talk as well.
Absolutely. Yes,
Well, thank you so much for your time, Annabella. It was a pleasure
thank you, Sue.
with you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.